Hey y'all, welcome back to Krista's Kitchen. Today we are making 4 dump and go crockpot meals that can go into the freezer, and then when you're ready you just dump them in the crockpot and go. What I like to do is choose my protein and then build some freezer meals from that. So today will be all about chicken, and then in a couple of weeks we'll do some beef and pork and things like that. But by choosing one protein to build the meals, then it makes it faster for me and much more manageable. Now, don't let this be overwhelming to you, because it very much can be. Use what you have and think about if these are meals that the flavor profiles are even things that you think y'all would like. And again, there are millions of different ways to make freezer meals. This is just how I prefer to do it. I do a lot of prep beforehand. I buy when vegetables and fruits and things are in season, chop them and store them in the freezer. But for me, I like doing meals based off of the protein and then moving out from there. So I'm going to do one meal at a time. I'll walk you through everything that's in them, and I'm going to zoom y'all in a little bit closer. I do have a towel down here because for some reason when I'm doing this there always seems to be juices and liquids and things, and this just makes the countertop much more nice for me. But I'm going to zoom y'all in and we'll get straight to it. First recipe that we're making is Caribbean chicken stew. This, so what I like to do is write the name of the recipe on the bag and then how long to cook it, and then also if I need to add anything towards the end of the cooking process. But we're going to go straight down the list. I got this recipe from Taste of Home Soups and Stews, so this is not an original recipe at all. So we're going to get straight into it. First thing you'll need is a 1/4 cup of ketchup. I'm just eyeballing it. There we go. And I'll leave all of this down below also. 3 cloves of garlic minced up. We're going to use already minced garlic for today, and I always tend to use a little bit more garlic than less. A tablespoon of sugar, a tablespoon of hot pepper sauce. So this is just your normal hot sauce. Now, Caribbean food does typically have more seasoning and spice, so if you are not a fan of that, leave it out. It won't hurt. It'll change the flavor a little bit, but try something milder maybe, like an adobo or something. Let's see, a teaspoon of dried basil, which I realized I didn't have, so we're going to do 2 teaspoons of oregano to keep with the seasonings. 1, 2, a teaspoon of thyme. Usually I check all of my spices before I start building meals, because my process is I pick the meals that I'm going to make, I write out the list for everything needed, and then I check my pantries to see what I have, go grocery shopping, and then build the bag. So thyme. This time I guess I assumed I had all of my spices. A 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. So instead of my shakers, I go straight to what I realized I just put in a 1/2 teaspoon of thyme instead of a full teaspoon, because this is a 1/2 teaspoon measuring I'm using. So let's add in another little 1/2 teaspoon. Same for the oregano. I only put in half of what we need, so we're going to add the rest of that in. We need a teaspoon of paprika, so 2 scoops. Just a little, because that was a pretty rounded scoop. And a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now you can add all of the spices and things to the top of it. I like them in the bottom because once it starts to melt or thaw, all those juices will pick up the spices in the bottom as well. So next we need a full pound of andouille sausage. I've already sliced it up just to save a little time. It's still frozen, so I just pulled it out of the frozen bag, sliced it, and we're dropping it down in here. Kind of balance it out so it'll stand. And we need a medium onion and 2 celery. So what I do whenever I have leftover onion or any vegetables really is I put them in a baggie and I freeze them after I've chopped it all up. So I'm going to use up some of my freezer stock stuff right now. So that's 1 medium onion, some of my celery from this summer. It says 2 stalks, so I'm just going to add in this top part. And the good news, it's already frozen, so less for that. And then 2 medium carrots. So I have some sliced frozen carrots already. I'm just going to pour in about half of this bag. There we go. And then our 8 chicken thighs will go straight on top of this. And then this bag will be done. Now, if you prefer bone in and skin on, you can do that. Just be careful whenever you go to eat it that you remember that those pieces are in there. These are boneless and skinless chicken thighs, just because that's my preference. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Some of these are some pretty hefty ones, so we might not put quite as many. Let's do 7. And then that bag is filled to the max. So we'll zip this one up. When it comes time, the whole thing just gets dumped and it goes in the crock pot for about 6 to 8 hours. So I'm going to pull this out, put it in the freezer, wash my hands, and we'll move on to the next one. Okay, y'all, so we're moving right into our next one. This is our chicken enchilada soup. Whenever it comes time, we'll dump it in the crock pot, turn it on low for 6 to 8 hours. We will need to add 2 cups of chicken stock or chicken broth to this whenever we put it in the crock pot. You could put it in the bag, but it would make it far too heavy and too much in this one bag. I also like to use my chicken base at times and just put a few in there so you can add water. It's really your choice. But we have 4 large chicken breasts down in the bag, and then you need a 10-ounce can of red enchilada sauce. We prefer the mild. If you like spicy, go for it. There's nothing wrong with that. 2 cans of black beans, not drained. A can of diced tomatoes, also not drained. A can of corn that has been drained. A can of green chilies. Again, we choose the mild or the medium. We like the flavor, but the kids don't like all of the spice all the time. And then we'll need a whole onion. Again, I'm using one of my freezer bags. This is 2 cups of chopped onion. You'll need a medium sweet onion. Just kind of shake it down into there. We need a teaspoon, and I've switched to my teaspoon measuring. A teaspoon of cumin. A teaspoon of salt, and 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. too. And that one is all done. So we're going to pop this off of here. Y'all see why I love these little things? Because this bag is slap full too, and that pretty much held it up. And squeeze as much of the air out of it as I can. Alright. And that one is ready. So we'll take this one out to the freezer. I'll clean all this up, and we'll move on to our next one. Okay, as I said before, this is my favorite meal out of the 4 that we're making today. It's Brunswick Stew. I don't know where it came from. I have no clue the origin or anything like that. All I know is it's so yummy and warming and so strange at the same time. But we have 2 boneless, skinless chicken thighs down in the bottom of here. To this I'm going to add a container of pulled pork, and this is just the shredded pork from the Walmart marketplace, but I like theirs. Theirs is actually really good. It doesn't have barbecue sauce and all those things on it. It's just the pork, but you'll need about 2 cups. I dumped the whole thing in and use it all in there, but you want the shredded pork down in it. Ooh, let me wipe my hand off. Then 1 large red onion that I've already diced up, and it is a large one. Sometimes, I'll give you all a heads up, that I have to make this into a 2-part bag. It doesn't, sometimes it doesn't fit. Sometimes it does. But I think it really does depend on the size of the meat and things like that. Alright, next we're going to add in, oh, I spilled it over, a bag of lima beans. Are y'all seeing yet where I'm saying it's the most strange thing ever? Yeah, it's definitely not going to fit into 1 bag this time. So we're going to split up some of our veggies. So, we're going to add in a cup of barbecue sauce. Now, like I said, it's so odd me putting barbecue sauce sitting on top of those lima beans right now. Look, I'm trying to get it to sink down to see if maybe I can fit it. We're going to add in 1 bag of mixed vegetables. And I'm using all frozen because it's going to be freezing anyway, so might as well. To this next bag, we're going to add in a 12-ounce bag of okra. Now for this, you could use whole okra or sliced okra. I prefer the whole because they don't get mushy fast like some of the other, like if you get it sliced up. We're going to add in 2 cans of diced tomatoes. About a tablespoon of minced garlic. I'm going to add in a teaspoon of black pepper. I'm going to add 2.5 teaspoons, oh, I lost my other teaspoon, of seasoned salt. A 1/2 teaspoon of cumin. So you want some big splashes of Worcestershire sauce. I guess maybe about a teaspoon or 2. I'll say about 2 teaspoons. And then whenever it comes time to cook, as y'all see, it's going to make a large soup. But when it comes time to cook, you'll just toss it all into your crock pot, and you'll add 6 cups of chicken broth. So, let's see if I wrote water or chicken broth on mine. I didn't write either, so I'm glad I looked. So, since I have been using or allocating most of my chicken broths to the other bags, I'm going to go ahead and put in my 6 teaspoons of chicken base into this one since I have the room. and write on it that I want to add water instead of chicken broth. Because I've switched to using the chicken base, and I'm just trying to use up the chicken broths that I have in the pantry. I want to conserve that space. Add 6 cups water. 2 of 2. 1 of 2. That way we keep it all straight. Now for the chicken base, if you're choosing to use this, you just need about a teaspoon for every cup of broth. Alright, y'all. And we're ready to go. Okay, y'all, last but certainly not least, we're doing our creamy chicken and rice soup. Now this is a smaller soup. It's not going to fill the whole bag like we've been seeing, but that's just because it makes a little bit less. The wonderful news about this is you pull it out of the freezer and cook it on high, and in about an hour it's done. Now if you have large chicken breasts, remember to cut them in half, because you do need them small to get them cooked all the way in that hour. But we've got 2 small chicken breasts down in the bottom of our bag. To that we're going to add a medium carrot. I'm just going to finish off this bag of frozen sliced carrots. Oh, excuse me. I've got my onion next to me. I'm going to go ahead and put that in so I can get it out of my way and I don't knock it over. I've got half of a medium onion, all diced up. You'll see I used up all of my freezer onions, so now I'll have to restock, which I bought a whole bag of onion today. So we'll be able to restock that for next time. And next we're going to add 1 celery rib. So let's see, we've got a big chunk there and a few of these little chunks. 1/3 of a cup of long grain white rice, not parboiled. If you do that, it will end up mushy, and if you try to cook this on low, it will end up mushy. So you don't want to do any of that. Next we're going to add in 1/2 of a teaspoon of basil. I'm using oregano today because I realized I'm out of my basil. 1 can of evaporated milk. This is what gives it that creaminess, not sweetened condensed milk. Evaporated milk. Put that down there. We'll need 1/2 of a teaspoon. I'm going to go ahead and do a whole teaspoon of garlic just because we love our garlic. And then about 1/2 a teaspoon of salt. And that's it, y'all. We are all done. We've got 4 meals to go into the freezer. Oh, I forgot the pepper that goes in this. Here. I already put my other pepper up, so let's just... We could always add the pepper when it goes into the pot also, but it's simple as that. You'll cook this for 1 hour on high, and you'll have enough for about 4 people or so, because we end up adding 2 cups or 2 cans of chicken broth, which is almost 4 cups. Not quite, but almost. And the rice expands, like it becomes a lot more than it looks like. But super yummy and super delicious. So give these a try. Let us know which one is your favorite, which one you're the most likely to try. And next week we'll have some beef recipes to go into the freezer. But thank y'all for joining us, and we hope that you found something that you can use and adapt to your family.